So now let's take a bit of a closer look. We see that this thing is totally baked. Even the plastic got a little crack in it. Dauer test means Dauer, it's a long-term test. Yeah. This is the date of today's year. Today's year. Yeah. And now let me explain what happened. It was in service for about 5 years, non-stop, 24/7, hanging upside down. You can see a slight discoloration from bright to a bit darker up here. Doesn't show that well in the camera, but yeah. But now, well, yeah, she started have a light flicker when you turn her on and off. So let's try to open her and take a closer look inside. Here's another crack. And the globe seems to have even a bit melted on some spots, but yeah. This is so far the longest living unmodified light bulb I've had. It is a D1 brand, sold from a German discounter. And yeah, it's a good one, apparently. Yeah, let me screw it in once more that you can see it works. Ooh, what a beautiful sunset. Or is it a sunrise? Okay, well, let's open it. I'm putting simply my fingernail here between this, turning it a bit around. And now I'm getting in with this badger. It's one of those mobile phone opening tools. And you see, it starts to crack a bit, but I don't want it to completely crack. Try to do this a bit more gentle here. You have to be careful with this thing. You can easily slip and cut yourself, and then there's blood all over the table. And I don't want to have blood over my solid oak dining table. And by the way, yeah, this is not the ASMR. I have a bad cold. My voice is a bit damaged. And that's a shame, because in this video that will be the only part of me, besides my hands, you get to see. What? I go back to you when I have finished. So, seems like we're getting close here now. So, I think we've got it now. Yeah. This is so baked. The reason for me opening this is I want to find out why this one was lasting so long. I mean, it's a cheap one from a discounter, but still this one is holding up so nice. And I have to say, this is one of the hardest to open ones I've ever opened. This is a real mess here. But I can of course just later puzzle it together, glue it. That's what super glue was made for. But yeah, here it is. Now let's not get electrocuted and screw this back in here. use our exposure compensation to take a closer look at this. And we see all of them are still in the full brightness. There is no, not someone that's that's weaker than the others. Yeah, I mean, be careful. I don't know if the aluminium shell is connected to mains. But yeah, okay, now let's go a bit further and analyze this one here. Okay, counting the chips, I do it later on the screen. Okay, first impressions. We see here the plus and minus simply soldered onto the board. 2 screws are fixing it to a heatsink that seems to be not made of aluminium. This looks like it's cast iron or something. Very unusual. Yeah, that's where I keep my screwdrivers. Okay. Let me bring you a bit closer into this and first of all remove this mess here. This doesn't look nicey nice. So now it looks nicey nice. Yeah, that's what you want. Sharp, well lit images. This is definitely one of the earlier LED lights. And like I said, I had far more expensive ones that lasted not even half as long. And wow, interesting. It's thinner than I thought. So there's not much there in terms of a heatsink. But one thing I see right now is there's a slit down here. You see? Ah, yeah, here it is. Tiny little slit here again. That may be one of the secrets, because this was hanging upside down, so hot air could escape out of here. Not especially good, because it was of course screwed in, but still. That could well be a reason for it. But now let's see if we can get this board a bit further out. Seems to be in quite well. Maybe we have to remove this bottom pin. That's the good thing with your fingernails. You can just simply wedge them in here and pull the end cap off. See? And in order not to break them, once they have loose enough, you just plop it out, and you see the little wire. If you see it on camera. So let's see if it does now come out. Okay, let me pause this. But now we have actually a date here. It is 2014. I put a complete date on the screen. Yeah, and now we know how long our durability test lasted. From 2014 to 2023. Well, this is impressive for a LED lamp. I mean, seriously, I had way more expensive lamps that didn't last 2 months. And this one here, from a discounter, still going strong. I mean, yeah, it started to softly flicker, but that could just be this capacitor here getting weak, because it was only when I switched it shortly on and off would probably have lasted at least a while longer, but I wanted to explore it, and it still works. Well, this was more destructive than I had intended, but in the name of science, I think we are at the point now. Unfortunately, one of the cables here snapped off the board. It's just too baked to have stayed on, but I will try to restore it and reuse it. So I had to cut this end piece apart so I could reach this cable, and now it slides out. So they just pushed it in and then folded the cable over and crimped this piece around here. So these are actually the crimp marks here, these little dots. So there was no indestructible way to remove it, but I think they haven't intended this to be non-destructive. They probably never thought that this thing will last that long. Yeah, okay, let's go over what I can see here in camera. Here we see plus and minus, a fusible resistor going into a bridge rectifier, and I can't see more on this side here, at least not through the camera. Some diodes and resistors. Here is the big capacitor, another capacitor, inductor, and the lamps themselves. Yeah. Let's try to read what's written on this capacitor. Is it readable on camera? I don't know. I put it on screen if I can see it. But I think it's readable. It's actually already falling apart. It's so baked, so I have to be careful. But yeah, it did run for quite a while, and it lasted very long. So, interesting discovery. After scratching away the surface of this here, I discovered it's copper underneath it. So it could well be that this just didn't make contact very well anymore. And this was all the cause of the problem. See, it's now shiny here, but not down to the aluminium. Interesting. Yeah. So, let's see what's something also interesting. Those LEDs are very low voltage. If we put them into diode test and hold the multimeter on it, we can actually make them light up if we get the direction right. See? That means they are running on a very low voltage. So, overall the teardown was a bit more destructive than I had intended, but the plastic was just too baked, and they have done a good job gluing the globe cap bulb thing on. And yeah, the crimped wire, no way to get it out without damaging it. But yeah, hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will use this little LED parts here definitely in another project in the future. So, well, here it was, the longest lasting LED lamp I ever had. And it was running 24/7. That's quite a deal. So hello and welcome to SBC. And today we have a very special video because I have a bad cold. Yeah. No, not because I do the voiceover later.